Hi guys. Today we're going to look at some more problems, general word problems like we did yesterday. And these are very similar to what you'll see on your homework tonight. Okay, so I'm going to look first at example 1. It says that the smaller of two numbers is 12 less than the larger. That's a comparison. That comparison is going to create my let statement. Whenever you hear a comparison like that in the first sentence, you can use that as your let statement. Or let statements, plural. So at the end of the sentence, larger, that's what I'm going to let x be. The smaller of two numbers is 12 less than the larger. So I'm going to let the larger number equal x. And then I go back and reread that sentence. The smaller of the two numbers is 12 less than the larger. So the smaller is 12 less than the larger is x. So x minus 12 would be 12 less than the larger. That's what I'm going to call the smaller number. The next sentence is more comparison. 4 times the larger exceeds 3 times the smaller by 90. But now I already have my let statements, so that is going to create my equation. 4 times the larger exceeds 3 times the smaller by 90. I'm going to translate this into an algebraic equation so that I can solve it. So 4 times the larger is x, so 4 times x. Now we come across this word exceeds. To exceed is to be bigger than. So the 4x is bigger than 3 times the smaller by 90. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 3 times the smaller. 3 times the smaller means 3 times this, x minus 12. So 3 times the smaller. They're saying that the 4x, this one, is bigger than this one. This one's smaller. It's bigger by 90. So what we do is we put an equal sign between them and we think of like a seesaw or a balance. If I want these to be equal and I know that the bigger one, 4x, is bigger by 90, then what I do is I add 90 to the right side. And now they're balanced. Okay, because this one was smaller by 90. So now we have our equation. Now we can solve it. I have 4x equals 3x minus 36 plus 90. I'm going to subtract the 3x over. That gives me x equals, and then negative 36 plus 90 is going to be 54. So once I get my value of x, I can now plug it back into my let statements here and here. So the larger number is x, so the larger number is 54. And the smaller is 54 minus 12, which is going to be 42. And those are my two values. Okay. Moving on to example 2, we're looking at perimeter of a triangle. Here it says the perimeter of a triangle is 40 inches. Now that doesn't make any comparisons, so that's not going to be my let statement. I'm going to skip over that for a minute and I'm going to go to the second sentence. The second side exceeds the first side by 1 inch, and the third side is 2 inches less than the second side. So I'm going to start here. I hear a comparison. The second side exceeds twice the first side by 1 inch. So they're comparing to the first side. I'm going to let the first side be x. And they say the second side exceeds twice the first side by 1 inch. Remember, to exceed is to be more than. So the second side is twice the first side plus 1, because it exceeds by 1 inch. So twice the first side, and it exceeds it by 1. That's going to be the second side. Now I go on reading a little further. It says the third side, oh, I don't want that. It says sorry, I'm trying to get my pen to be a different color. It says that the third side, the third side is 2 inches less than the second side. So the third side is 2 inches less than the second side. So the second side is 2x plus 1. This one's 2x plus 1, but 2 less than that, so minus 2. That's the third side. And I'm going to simplify this because 1 minus 2 can be subtracted. It becomes 2x minus 1. That's what I'm going to call the third side. Okay, so I won't be using that. Now, I don't see anything here for an equation. It just says find the length of each side of the triangle. But if you remember at the beginning, they said the perimeter is 40. And it's a triangle. So this has 3 sides. Essentially, you have like the first side is x, the second side is 2x plus 1, and the third side is 2x minus 1. So that allows you to set up an equation. The perimeter is just the sum of all sides. So we're going to add x plus 2x plus 1 plus 2x minus 1 equals the perimeter 40. So I'm going to combine like terms. I have 5x and then plus 1 minus 1 cancels, equals 40, divide x equals 8. So I go plug back into my let statements. The first side is 8. Okay, I'm just write it over here. First equals 8 inches. The second side equals 2 times 8 plus 1, which is 17 inches. And the third side is 2 times 8 minus 1, which is 15 inches. And these are your 3 answers. Okay, and now we're going to look at one that's a little bit harder. It's your last problem, I believe, on your homework. And it looks pretty much like this. The length of a rectangle is 5 feet longer than its width. If the width is doubled and the length is diminished by 3 feet, a new rectangle is formed whose perimeter is 24 feet more than the perimeter of the original rectangle. Okay, so this one has a lot going on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagram to kind of help us. Because what it's describing is that there is some original rectangle and with some dimensions, and then there's like this new rectangle with some new dimensions, and then they compare the perimeters. So I'm going to read the first sentence. The length of a rectangle is 5 feet longer than its width. So I'll let the width be x, because it comes at the end, and the length is 5 feet longer. That means add 5. So this is width, this is length. If the width is doubled and the length is diminished by 3 feet, a new rectangle is formed. So if the width is doubled, that's going to be double x, right? I'm going to put that over here. And the length is diminished by 3 feet. To diminish is to make smaller. So the length is going to become 3 smaller than what it was. So it would be x plus 5 minus 3. Or you could just call that x plus 2. So I'm going to actually erase that, and I'll just call it x plus 2. That's going to be my new length. I have my new width and my new length. A new rectangle is formed whose perimeter is 24 feet more than the perimeter of the original rectangle. They're saying that this new perimeter, I'm going to write it over here, new perimeter equals 24 feet more than the original perimeter. So you're going to set up an equation that basically looks like this, only instead of the words new perimeter, you actually put in the expression for the new perimeter. So remember, perimeter is going to be all sides added. So the new perimeter is 2x plus another 2x plus x plus 2 plus another x plus 2. Or if you want to shorten that, you could just call it 2 times 2x plus 2 times x plus 2. That's a little faster to do. Is 24 more than the original perimeter. So it equals 24 plus, and now I'll do the original perimeter, which is over here. There's 2 x's and there's 2x plus 5. So if you want to do x plus x plus x plus 5 plus x plus 5, or you could just go 2x plus 2 times x plus 5. And there is your equation, and now you solve. So we're going to have 4x here, and then distribute plus 2x plus 4 equals 24 plus, and I'll distribute 2x plus 2x plus 10. I'm going to combine like terms. 2x and 4x is 6x now, plus 4 equals, I have 2x and another 2x, that's going to be 4x, and then I have 24 plus 10, which is 34. And I'm going to now subtract 4x on both sides. I have 2x plus 4 equals 34. I will subtract 4 on both sides. I have 2x equals 30, divide, x equals 15. So the question is asking me find, oops, I never put in the question. The question should be, if you could add it into your notes, it should be find the dimensions of the original rectangle. So to find the dimensions of the original rectangle, I go back to this one that I circled here, and I plug 15 in. So my original width is 15 feet, and my original length is 15 plus 5, which is 20 feet. Length equals 20 feet. And there's a very similar problem on your homework. This should help you. Please try to follow the notes, and I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks.